This is the new Easter egg camo, the Murk, in Season 3 Reloaded of Modern Warfare 2, a universal camo usable with any weapon once unlocked, found within the new secret room of Raid Episode 3, and today we're gonna run down how you can end up getting it. Now, this Easter egg wasn't solved within the first 24 hours like last season's raid, but it's still a relatively simple one in theory, though do note there are plenty of things that can go wrong along the way, whether that be game crashes, whether that be unintended fails by you or your teammates, more game crashes, whatever the case. It's a simple one in theory. Maybe not necessarily in practice. Doing a raid flawless is always easier said than done. There's a few things that you can get caught up on and some points where if you fail, you have to restart the whole raid, but if you're careful, it's relatively easy to manage. As we go along, drop your thoughts down below. Do you like these Easter eggs? Do you think that this one in particular is worth it? Are you liking that we've had a decent bit to unlock between the trophy hunt camos, the DMZ Easter egg, and now these raid rewards? Whatever the case, drop your thoughts below. But if you enjoyed the video, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing to stay updated with all things Modern Warfare 2, Warzone 2, anything COD related, and other FPS content. I'd love to have you in the community if you'd like to join. And finally, check out my friends over at Gamer Advantage for the best blue light glasses on the market and 10% off with code Espresso, but more on them a little later. For now, let's jump into how to unlock the Murk Easter egg camo in Modern Warfare 2 Season 3 Reloaded. So for this one, you're going to need to queue up for Raid Episode 3, and as a prerequisite, just know that as with other raid related items, you'll need a team of 3. So you unfortunately can't do this solo or in a tandem, but you need 3 players to progress. Once you end up jumping into the raid itself, you're going to be looking for a few specific items. The most obvious one that you may find along the way is a USB stick, but beyond that, you're looking for paper notes, valves, and other things like that. So the paper notes are the end goal despite the USB stick, despite the valves you end up coming in contact with. The paper notes eventually give you the pieces to the code sequence that you will be deciphering. So from the top down, let's run through this. First, you'll need that USB stick, and this one is relatively out in the open, something that if you're running through the raid for the first time, you may have ended up being able to spot this, thinking that it was the right way to progress through, when in reality, it's kind of backtracking since it's behind where you need to go. But the elevator will stop just above the silo hallways of 9J in Cyrillic, or what appears to be like 9 backwards N, and really to progress through the store, you need to be going to 9B. But you'll have to jump down there to 9N, 9J, but you won't die, just injure yourself to where you can heal up. But if you get to the edge of that hallway, you'll see the USB stick sitting right there on the edge of a wire spool. First step is to pick this up. Now, one thing you have to keep in mind from the very beginning here, it's important to know going into all of this, just like the last raid episode, if you end up picking up one of these inventory item pieces for the Easter egg, you cannot full die. You can be downed and revived, but if you say fall to your death, which is quite possible in the silo portion, you get burnt alive by the crawl space gas line fire, you set off any of those tripwires and kill you and your squad, you'll have to restart the whole mission because upon respawning, you lose those inventory items. So you no longer have that USB stick, the paper note, none of it. So make sure you do not die or else it's going to be a massive pain and a waste of time. So just be careful. Now that USB stick is not used immediately. It's going to be something that you're going to have to hold on to it for a little bit. But the second step after getting that USB stick is to be going down a few floors below that, where you can find interactable valves in the hallways of the silo. The first and most recognizable of the set of silos is in the room where you'd end up picking up the saw in order to cut through the locked gate in the main raid progression, just across the silo on the other side of the elevator. But if you head to that corner of the room, there's 3 yellow pipes and 1 red pipe. The red pipe is your key valve. That number listed is the number that you'll have to get every single valve to match at the same time, which can be incredibly tricky. And do note that the key number of the valve will change about once a minute, but that's the primary valve system. The others are found just 1 floor below. This can get tricky though, because every player needs to take part and twist those valves on the subsequent floors, but at the same time, you have to make sure that these are almost perfect, because just like the valves in the water rooms, you have to constantly sort of feather them since they'll go down as soon as you stop touching them, and they'll go up immediately as you start interacting with them. So getting them all to land on the same number at the exact same time might take some work, but keep at it and you'll be able to get it. And once you do, you'll hear a voice line confirming the action. Now, once you get those valves matched up, well, that's actually really part 1 out of the way. You can make your way to the bottom of the silo, and then from there, you'll be able to pick up the first of 3 paper notes as you go on to the next segment of the raid. This will be number 1, so bear in mind the order in which you either pick things up or note them down. It'd be a shame if you get all this done and you input the number incorrectly, because you only have 1 chance to input the terminal code in the secret room once there. But then after that, starting step 2, you're going to go a little bit further, where you will come into contact with that flooded server room and the area where you have that major number puzzle. This is where that USB stick comes back into play here. However, there's a bit of a difference between this and the regular code sequence you'll be playing around with, because when you clear the area of enemy combatants, you'll turn on the power, generate a passcode, but before you initiate anything in the flooded server room area, you want to go over to the terminal on the, if you're looking at the control deck, the right side, but if you're looking out into the server room, it's on the left side. You'll have the ability to insert a USB stick on one of the consoles, to which it will grant you a new, smaller passcode stating tertiary encrypted sequence obtained, single decryption attempt granted. If you go and take a look at that key sequence monitor, you'll see that instead of a 15-digit code, you have a 6-digit code. This is your new passcode that you'll have to input just like you would with the regular puzzle to move on and gain the next paper note. The only difference though between it being shorter is you have one singular attempt to do this. So while it is indeed much shorter, you cannot mess this up or you'll have to restart the entire mission over. Do note this part, this is timed. I think we figured it out where it's about a minute where you have after you end up generating that 6-digit code, but you have about a minute to recognize that code sequence, then initiate it, and then keep it moving in those 10-second intervals that you'd normally have for each code number. So a little bit more is at stake here. Now, once you complete that 6-digit code, you'll end up being able to get that second paper note. It's in plain view right where you input that USB stick, but the only downside is that once again, once you get that, unfortunately, you have to do the 15-digit code sequence to actually unlock the door and move on. It's not just a 2-for-1 special here at that, but you'll be in that room a bit longer before moving on, but the most important part is out of the way. Also, while it takes a bit more to do, again, do not die to that electrified water when you're chaining that code sequence together or traversing the room, because again, if you die, you lose any inventory items you may have, and even if you have the numbers memorized, it still doesn't count. We had this happen. If you die, you still cannot input it properly. It seems like you need the paper scraps in your inventories of whoever the players are, whether it's all in one player's inventory or spread out across all 3 players. But unfortunately, once you jot those numbers down, that's not the end of it. The third and final piece comes during the water puzzle section, where this one's actually a bit easier than the others. For this, you basically just need to progress through as normal, raising the water levels to the highest possible level. But once you do that, you'll be able to swim back through the tube that you entered the room through, again backtracking, and you'll be able to enter a new tube now on the right side of that water canal if you're backtracking through it, but on the left originally if you were going into the water room for the first time. Here you'll need to do a little bit of exploring because there's a right, straight, and a left tube outside of that initial swim, where I've seen spawn points for the final node in each of those, so you'll have to track that down if it's in the right, left, or center tube. And now note that I think, and big emphasis on think because it happened only once to me, but it was definitely something that was terrifying. I think that the random events that can sometimes, they don't always happen in the non-veteran versions of this, the events that happen in the main water area of the gas and the electrocution, they may actually affect this as well, because I got randomly electrocuted while going for this the round we completed it, and after so many fails, I kind of think that my controller would have gone through a wall, getting 40 minutes into it, having that last piece of the puzzle right in plain view, and then potentially failing. After getting like 30 to 40 minutes into the raid here, and after like 10 times each and failing, one more time probably would have sent me over the edge. But anyways, you're going to want to make sure that you have the adequate oxygen, make sure that you're not necessarily fighting any obstacles, and then that's when you're going to go for a swim. Once you find it and pick it up, that's your third and final paper note with the last code sequence on it. From there, rejoin your team, use the crane to move the scaffolding to let you over to that secret room tucked away just above the entrance that you need to jump to, and there you'll be able to input the code on the console and open up the room with the secret weapon and the Murk camo on it. This will unlock the camo for you, and then you're able to use it in MP, Warzone, DMZ, Spec Ops, wherever you'd like. But that's how you end up unlocking the Murk camo in Season 3 Reloaded of Modern Warfare 2. Now, how worth it is the camo? I think the Raid Veteran reward is honestly much better, but this camo is nice, doesn't quite stand out as much of any reward in my opinion. If I didn't know any better, I'd think it's a standard weapon camo challenge mixed with any of the like 200 others that we have across all the weaponry for Modern Warfare 2. So I entirely get it if you're not too big a fan here of it, because the process is a proper pain. But if you're like me, you got that FOMO feeling where you're like, it's a new earnable reward, I gotta get it, then it might be worth going for. Now, not sure if I'll end up using this one too much, but I'm happy that I unlocked it and did another quest line here for the game with this season. But anyways, that's the camo, how to unlock it. And I would have liked to have gotten this up a little earlier, but I was out of commission this weekend for a wedding, so I'm certainly not the first to post about it. I think I saw my friend Incredilag's crew was once again in on that really early on, but there may have been others as well. Apologies we didn't get this up over the weekend here. We're a little bit late to the party, but hopefully this can help you out in any way, shape, or form and allow you to get a new exclusive camo, which again, if you care about rare items, I can't imagine imagine too many people are in the grand scheme of things are going to be going out of their way to do this. So it's like one of those, oh, I have that one type of camo that's a cool little trivia piece. But anyways, that's where we're going to wrap it up. So let me know your thoughts down below. What do you think of this Easter egg and reward? Will you be going for it? And again, before we wrap everything up, make sure to check out my friends over at Gamer Advantage. I've talked about these guys plenty of times before, but to me, they're the best blue light glasses on the market. And dare I say again, maybe the most productivity increasing partner that I've had over that time since I've started working with them. Absolutely love the team over there. I love the product. Most lightweight, comfortable, and durable frames on the market, and the prescription compatible. So if you want something custom tailored to you, and also maybe even the ability for insurance to help cover the cost, either partially, if not fully, they can work with you on that as well. So links in the description below if you guys want to check anything out, their clinical studies, the science behind all of it. Whatever the case, that's down there. But if you guys want to pick something up for yourself, use code Espresso to get 10% off your entire order. But that said, that's what we're going to call it. If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing to stay up to date with all things Modern Warfare 2, Warzone 2, and anything COD related, as well as other FPS content. But for now, that's what we're going to call it. So thanks so much for watching. Mine's been Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.